Hey Jennifer, this is Donnie Vaughn of the Marketing Twins. Okay, you've been watching a video up to this point to how to add cupcakes to your site. We had to make a change because unfortunately we had set something up originally that worked well for the initial setup but wasn't allowing you to make changes to it, so I apologize. So we've made a modification to our tutorial, and this is what this you watched up to about 6 minutes and 20 seconds of a video, and then you saw it said stop and go to this part of the video to finish out. So you're now watching the new revised second part to that, how to add a cupcake part. Now there's a part 2 that I still want you to watch. So this is kind of this is, in a weird way, this is kind of the new second half of part 1. So hopefully that makes sense. But anyway, here we are. What we're doing at this point is we've set up all the text, what we want it to say. We've added the shopping cart. Now we just simply need to add a picture. And we're going to use in this tutorial, I think the previous tutorial was using a pina colada example. This example that I'm going to show you is actually setting up your key lime pie, setting up correctly the first time, and that also so that when you set up the cupcake of the month, it'll actually work appropriately. And so we're going to show you that in a separate tutorial, how to do the cupcake of the month. But this is how you add an image to your site once you're ready to add cupcakes as you add more flavors and so forth. Okay, so you can see here, this is the website itself. And I can show you, I mean, this is the live site. And so I'm taking a moment to take down the key lime pie image. And here in the next few minutes, it will reappear here. So how do we do that? So let's go to our dashboard. And we're going to edit the page. Now I've gone into the gourmet page here. So at this point, what we want to do, I'm going to get my screen set up so I can see just about that much. I'm going to scroll all the way down. This is where you kind of have to adjust your browsers depending on your windows and so forth like that. I want to be able to see all of my items here. Let me see if I can get it just right. All about there. I want to see all of this up here, but I also want to be able to see this. So I'm going to have to do just a little bit of adjusting, and that's about right. So here's what I want to do. I want to put my cursor at the end of the word new, or whatever the title is. And this is a little trick. I want you to, before just hit, if I just hit enter, it's going to put a little bit of space between my cursor and the word key lime pie. I don't really want that. So I'm going to put my cursor back towards there. If you hold down your shift key and then hit the enter button at the same time, notice that the cursor now is a little bit closer, and that's what we want. We don't want that extra space in there. Now that we've got the cursor where we want it, I want to go back up where I can see what I'm doing. See if I can get that just about right. I'm trying to do it where you can also see it in the video, but hopefully in the video you can see that the cursor is flashing where it's supposed to be, but I can also see this up here. Now, I want to click that button right there, which is to insert an image. Now, I'm also assuming at this point that you're going to go grab the images that you're loading in here off of your desktop, off a flash drive, somewhere on your computer. Once you load them and follow this process, it will automatically put them in your media library. But this tutorial is assuming that you have not loaded any pictures in your media library of the new flavors. They're coming directly off of the original source, a flash drive, on your desktop, etc. And we're also assuming that these are the original size photos that came to you from a photographer or you took them yourself. Most of the time when you take a digital photo, it's a very large photo for web purposes, and so we'll show you how that's going to shrink down here in just a minute. So we're going to select the file. Now I've already got the key lime pie right there, so I'm going to open that up. And because it's a large image, it takes a little while to load. Now, normal smaller images would load much faster than what this is doing, but it's an original size photo. You'll see that it's like 3,000 pixels wide, and I'll show you that as soon as it mentions crunching here, which I always think is a funny term. But here it is, 3,000 pixels wide and 2,400 pixels high. This is a very large image. It is not intended to be that size to be viewed on the web, because again, if you showed it just like this, every time someone comes to your site, they're going to try to load this image, and it's going to take every image forever to load. So you don't want that. So we're going to make a few modifications here. First thing you need to do is change this title to exactly what you want it to be, and you want to do the same thing right below. It's complicated. One of these has to do with more search engine optimization. This one here has to do more with people with certain disabilities who don't have the ability to see the images. They have computer equipment that can read text, that can read to them what the text is. So we recommend that we put it the same thing in both places. Okay. Now, at this point, you scroll down. What you're looking for, you can leave everything else the same. This size gives you 4 different options. This is the original full size, 3000 by 2400. We obviously don't want that. Now, WordPress has already decided it's going to go with the large, which is exactly what we want you to do. Not necessarily pick the large option. Here's what I want you to do in the future. Anytime you load an image on there, I want you to look for whichever option is closest to 500 here in this first one. So in this case, 596, that's closer to 500 than even this one, or obviously this one. So anything that you see, if it's 495 or 425 or 405 or 505 or even 605, something that's closer to 500, that's what I want you to select. So what this is doing is it's making this more web friendly by moving this and scaling it down from 3000 pixels wide to roughly 596. And this will be shown. I'll show you why that's important here in a little while. After we've done that, you can click Insert into Post. Now you'll see here that it's put this in here. Obviously that's too big because we want them to look more smaller. So what we have to do at this point, we just click on the image one time and it opens up these 2 options. You hit that button there, which is the Edit Image Settings. Then I want you to hit the Advanced Settings. I want you to go down to right here in the width. I want you to put 105. Now over here, I'm going to go ahead and say 84 because that was the standard height that we used on all of the images. But keep in mind, sometimes you might get an image from a photographer, or you take one that has a much taller image. We want it to be definitely 105 because we want all the images to be the same width. You see here, we don't want one sticking way over here. See how nice and neatly they flow. Now, it just so happens that we have them all the same height. But we'll work on that height here in just a little bit. It's very important that we make sure that it's the same width. So we want 105 as the width. We also want to put a border. So notice there's no border on it here. If I put a 2 there and I hit my tab key, that automatically puts a border in there and actually puts it down in here for the styles. It's already set. Then I want you to update. Now you see that it's put it right where you want it to go. Now, before we finish out here, there's one more thing I want you to do. I want you at this point to click on this. I want you to get those little boxes and these 2 options here. But then I want you to scroll up to the top and I want you to click. You have 2 options. You have a broken link or a link. I want you to click the link. Now you can't click the link if your little you have to have, so notice it has to have, it's kind of, you've activated this one really. You've got the little buttons around there. Now you want to link that. So we want to link that. Now this URL that's set up here is the original Keyline Pie. It's scaled to 500 pixels wide, even though we've now made it 105 pixels wide. This is the original one that's scaled at 500. But I need you to change this to open up in a new window. You update that, and then you go back, very critical, you have to update the page. And by doing so, once it's done, you can go back to your site. I can refresh my browser, and now the image is there. I can click on it, it opens up in a new window. And that's how we do it to add a cupcake to your page.